Hi, I'm Alden.
And I'm Calden. We're Good Twin, Bad Twin.
Today we have the opportunity of introducing you to one of the hottest comedians today,
Mr. Michael Blackson.
All right, first off, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Michael, we know you, New Jersey was when you came to the States, and then, of course, after New Jersey, a little bit after that, you moved to Philadelphia, so you Philadelphia man, but from other than that, tell us a little bit about Michael Blackson.
Yeah, man, I went from being a Giants fan to an Eagles fan. But the funny thing about it, when in Jersey, I had just came from Africa as a kid, 13 years, me 14 years old. And, Newark was my first stomping ground. We just really 15 minutes from New York.
Okay.
And, it was my first time in America. Cold as hell. I remember it was April. For some reason, it was April when I came. If it was cold as hell, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Why is it so, why is refrigerator outside? I didn't understand what the hell was going on, right?
Right.
I just realized right away, the kids were mean as hell. Right away. I'm not sure it's the cold weather that makes these niggas mean, but American kids were mean as shit. My first experience was so bad. My first experience, I got punched in the stomach by a girl. That's how bad American kids are. These motherfuckers, girls are not beating niggas up. Okay?
Yeah.
My first bad experience, I remember I'm 13, 14, outside playing, and of course, some kids are African kid out here playing. And I remember this one girl that kept I'm not sure it was a shoe, but they kept throwing her shoes. I think one of her shoes came off and everybody kept throwing it around to different people. And she run chasing them, trying to get her shoes from them, right?
Right.
And I remember it came to me, right? And instead of me just giving this bitch her shoes, I threw it to the next person. That bitch skipped everybody and punched me in the fucking stomach. I'm like, everybody throwing your shoes. Why you chose me?
Right. Yeah. That's what's up.
So my first bad experience, when she punched my stomach, I'm like, damn, it's gonna be hard as shit to get pussy in America. Because from my first experience, I got punched in the stomach. So.
What made you guys come to America? Because people have different reasons.
My mother is an evangelist. She's still, I guess it was. She's still alive. God. My mother's an evangelist. She traveled the world a lot. Just by faith. My mom would just, get up and just go. She'll get up and go to India. Find her way to India. And that's how she ended up in America. She came to America way back. I think her first time was 1978. When she just started preaching the gospel.
Right.
So I remember her coming to the United States while I was still in Africa as kids, and I remember she came back and she said, one day I'm going to take you guys to the promised land. That's what she always called America, the promised land, right? It's like how we look at heaven as the promised land.
Right.
So she said, one day I'm going to get you out to America. So I remember she came back, and then I remember maybe in 82, 83-ish or something like that, she came back and she brought my younger sister, who was me and her about 2 years apart. And when she brought her, who is actually now, she actually had a son that's in the NFL that was drafted by the Giants, actually.
Okay.
Her name is Annie Apple. That was her husband's name, Apple. And her son is Eli Apple, who was a cornerback. He was a 10 pick in the draft for the New York Giants. It's so crazy how everything circled back around.
Right.
So my sister at the time was probably 11 years old when she came. I know it was 2 years apart, 11 or 12. I was 13 or 14. And she came, my mother brought her first and then left her with some people she met at church and then, left her there and then came back to America. Her goal was to just slowly bring us little by little. Because the thing with getting a visa to come to America is the hardest thing to do. American, especially when you're black, Americans do not want foreigner in America, especially not a black one.
Right.
And then you gotta be strategic how you come to America. Like for them to give you a visa, they gotta almost be certain that you are gonna go back home. So you can't, like, if you go to the embassy with like all your 7 kids, somebody, hey, we're going to America to visit. They're like, nigga, you ain't coming back. They're like, if you got all your fucking kids with you, you know what I mean? Or if you go in there with your husband and a kid, they're like, y'all niggas ain't coming back. So you gotta be really smart on how you come to America. You just gotta worry about getting your papers later and doing all that shit later. But when you come to America, you gotta come as if you gotta make motherfuckers believe you're gonna come back. That's the only way you'll get a visa. If you say you're coming to America to shop, they gotta make sure you got millions of dollars in your bank. Then they know you're gonna come back to your money.
Right.
Because there are different reasons why people get visas to come to America. I mean, the easiest one is like a student visa. Well, okay, you're going to come to America to go to school. They give you a student visa because at the end of the day, America, it's okay when you come to school here because you're gonna cost your ass 40, 50, 100 grand. They're gonna make money off of you. So student visa is probably not as hard, but like when you're really grown up and you want to come with your kids, they'd be like, hey, this motherfucker ain't coming back. So my mom brought my youngest sister, came back, and then brought me and my baby sister. And mind you, at the time, my mother had got remarried. My mother had 7 kids by my dad, and then she got remarried later and had my youngest sister. So my mother left my stepdad back. That's the only reason probably why she got a visa, because they knew she got to go back to her husband. Right. So she slowly brought my youngest sister, then brought me after that. And then, and while I was in the States, then of course now you have to find a way to stay here legally. You have to go through the process. Right. And then unfortunately, which became fortunate at the same time, was, Liberia, where we were from, had a civil war, right? They had a civil war in between while we was in America. And that's kind of like what helped us get an asylum. Whenever there's a civil war in your country or there's something bad going on in your country, there's a thing called asylum, where you give an asylum to stay in America. Right. So because of the civil war in my country, you give asylum to stay in America and get papers to like go to school and work and do all that legal stuff that you could finally do, like get a social security card or whatever. Okay. So something bad had to happen for something good to happen. Right. And that's what kind of like gave us pretty much papers to stay in America. And then later on, the rest of my brothers then came little by little. In fact, I actually one point, I went 15 years without seeing my brothers and sisters, the ones that were still in America.
I bet that was
and I had to come back to Africa for that. When I was finally able to like work and make money and save some money and be able to come home and be like, hey, brothers, how you doing? Here's some money for everybody. Here's some clothes. Here's that. It took me 15 years. Mind you, I came at like 13, 14. I was finally 28, and I was like, I had a little bit of money, and I'm like, okay, let me go and I bless my family. Right. And that's when I came to see my brothers, because they had made it to like another country after that civil war, and the thing about it, with their age and everything, it was so hard. It was really tough for them to get a visa. They went through hell. It took 15 years for them to finally make it to America.
Was it part of your motivation?
Yeah. My main motivation was to do stand up.
Yeah, or just to keep you driving, to keep going.
I think with the stand up thing, I 100% feel like it was what God had intention for me. It was my gift from God, because either that was something like He just gave me, like, hey, Mike, this is what's gonna get your family out. This is what's gonna make you take care of your mom. God has something for me, because when I get as 13, 14 years old kid in America, all the kids did my whole life clown me, made fun of me. My accent, the way I look, my complexion. The crazy thing about it, I tell people all the time, I had no idea I was dark skinned until I came to America. Because where I'm from, we never, I didn't know. I'm thinking we never measured complexion back home when I was a kid. All that has changed now because America's rubbed off onto everybody. Where we see lightness and darkness, where women are bleaching their skin because they think lighter is better. But prior to that, when I was a kid, growing up in the 80s, we never saw complexion, ever. We never saw, you never looked at somebody and be like, oh, you lighter than me. We never saw that. We just knew it was all black people.
Right. I bet that was cool.
And we know they're white people, but they're Chinese people. I'm talking about how we live back home.
Right.
So I remember when I was a kid, you know, when I went to school the first time, 8th grade was my first grade I went to. And then I'm hanging out with some kids and they're like, you black? I'm like, of course, we're all black.
Right.
They said, no, nigga, you blackish. I'm like, fucking blackish. What kind of black is that? And they like compare my hands to their hands, like, look, I'm lighter than you, this and that. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. And I'm now it's like, I felt like Adam and Eve when they ate the fucking apple, like now their eyes are open, they can see something they're not supposed to see.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So then I had to get, now I'm being abused with all the black jokes, all the dark jokes. You look like under the bed. You look like, you know what I mean? The difference between you and is the 11:59. When God said let there be light, you was out of town. You look like you have no bright ideas. Like you got to take a shit, you think your dick fell off. All the black jokes came out, right? So I think that's when they started to roast me, you know, I think back then it got to me because I was just a kid, innocent kid, don't know, like American kids at the time, it's just ignorance. They're just mean. They're just trying to be funny. You know what I mean?
Right.
And my thing is, I stayed long enough to realize that these kids they're just Americans. I mean, to survive in these streets, you gotta be, whether you gotta be tough, have a gun, or know how to.
Oh no!
All right, here we are.
There we go.
Good deal.
Yeah.
You said you gotta have a gun to be tough.
You gotta have a gun. You gotta be tough in the streets, or you gotta be funny, motherfucker. Funny niggas get away with shit. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I think every kid in America think they're funny. They're always trying to roast. Because if you don't roast somebody, they're gonna roast you. You gotta be prepared. And I'm like, after living in America for so long, I got to understand that black Americans, like, they don't mean no harm. They just, you know, even if go way back to slavery, they roasted each other from slavery. It goes way back. Way back. You know, and it's so crazy. I didn't know this till I recently did a show for VH1 and I was having a conversation with Mendeezy. You know Mendeezy, right?
Yes.
I was having a conversation with Mendeezy because I never knew this prior to, you know, because I told him this story about like how, you know, how kids made fun of my complexion when I came to America. He said, Mike, you know where they came from? I'm like, nigga, no, help me. He was like, well, it came back from slavery. It goes way back to slavery when, you know, when the slave masters slept with some of the black women, African women, and then it made lighter kids, and the lighter the kids were, the less work they did, or the better they were treated. So it made it seem like lighter was better. You know, and that's why in the 80s and 70s and, you know, up to early, I think all that dark skin became cool more like early 90s when dark skin people were becoming sex symbols. You know what I mean? Like, shout out to Wesley Snipes. That's my homie till today, right? Shout out to him, of course, one of my favorite rapper of all time, Big Daddy Kane, you know. And then when Public Enemy came out, you got niggas like the Flavor Flav that made it cool and funny, you know. So those guys from those early 90s kind of like, you know, help dark skinned niggas get some pussy, pretty much.
Yeah.
But prior to that, so Yandy explained it, Mendeezy explained that to me, like, hey, Mike, this way go back to, that's why there's jokes. So, mind you, I've already been verbally abused, and not only that, you know, comedy also came from, like, my clothing. Like, kids, they made fun of what I wore, because, like I said, let's go back to where I'm from. As a 13, 14-year-old kid in Africa, even teenager, 20s, girls back then, we were not very materialistic. The only thing about growing up in Africa as a kid, guys got girls because, you know, when you got new shit, you got a girl. If you got a new bike, you know, if you had new clothes, if you had a car, I mean, you can forget cars. Nobody having a car unless you're an adult back home when I was a kid. Yeah. You know, ain't no teenagers driving, ain't no 20-year-old driving. Only parents had cars. You know, so a bike, you had a bike, you could get a girl because you got a bike. If you had brand new clothes, girls like a guy with new clothes. And when I came to America, I'm thinking, okay, I could just get away with having new clothes. You did?
Yeah, we here.
I remember going to school, and prior to school, my mother had no money. She's worked at McDonald's, making $50 a week, saved money to take us to school shopping. You know, bought me my pants for like $6.99, my shirt. My first pair of sneakers was called In Action. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is an In Action, right? And she bought that shit at the fucking grocery store, like at Pathmark. You could buy chicken and buy sneakers right next to each other, right?
Right.
So my mom did all of this, and then here I am dressed up for my first day of school. I'm happy as hell because I got brand new clothes. I'm thinking I'm about to get all these bitches. I get to school, niggas laughing at my clothes, like looking at my sneakers, like, what the fuck you got on? What are you wearing? I said, my nigga, this is brand new. It lit my ass up. Right? They lit me up for clothing, complexion, the way I looked, the way I talked. So that was my first 3 years in Jersey, right? Mm-hmm. So finally, my mother had some friends that lived in Philly, some African friends that she knew back home that moved to Philly, and told her that, hey, listen, cost of living is much cheaper in Philly. You might want to come and give Philly a try. And we moved to Philly. Thank you, Philadelphia. It became the best thing that happened to me. You know, shout out to Philly. Love that city like it's like today. Because when I got to Philly, you know, back when I was in Jersey as a kid, it was hard to get a job. I mean, I went into work at 14, 15 years old to help my mother pay bills. But even a job at McDonald's was hard to get back then. You know, so I get to Philly, all of a sudden, like, boom, I got a job. I got a job working at Domino's Pizza. I started off just at 15 years old. I'm answering the phones. 15, 16, answering phones, taking orders, learn how to deliver pizzas on a bike, making a little tip money here and there, you know, a little $30 a day, $20 a day, stacking up my money, helping my mom pay bills. And then, you know, we finally got our own place because in Jersey, we just pretty much lived with people. We got our own place. We got a 3-bedroom row house in the hood for $350 a month. I had my own bedroom and shit. I was excited, turned up, had my own room finally. And then started going to school. And then by the time I got to school in Philly, I already knew what it took. I already knew you got to wear name brand clothes. So, you know, all my money I saved up, I went and bought like Adidas and Nike and some Lee jeans and Wrangler, all the name shit back in the 90s, right? Right. And I remember at that time, I started listening to rap music, and that's when I kind of like started liking Big Daddy Kane because he was the closest thing that looked like me, right? I went got my box haircut, started wearing silk shirts like this, like Big Daddy Kane. Nigga, I thought I was Big Daddy Kane. I thought I was a real smooth operator, right? Right. So here I am, going to school dressed like Big Daddy Kane, and motherfucker just even bought my first chain. And back then, you just buy them 10-carat hollow chains. Yeah. It be fat ass Dookie Fat Rope, but hollow like a motherfucker. Right. Just don't let no nigga touch your chain because they're gonna know, yeah. Right? So and it wasn't much, like $500-$600, maybe $1,000. I'm not sure what it was going for back then. Because it was hollow, it was still gold. Your neck ain't gonna turn green, right, because it's gold. It was just hollow as shit because it's not solid. It's cheaper. Right. I got my fat Dookie Fat chain, silk shirts, wore my Valley shoes. Right. I'm going to school. My first year of school in Philly was totally different than my first year of school in Jersey. So now I come to school like silk shirt, box haircut, chain on, looking like a smooth criminal, right? And motherfucker like, damn, who is this new kid? And then I of course, I have an accent. And back then, it wasn't that many Africans in America. It was mostly Jamaicans. Right, so and all the Jamaican dudes are all dark and they all had accents, and they all were drug dealers. Every Jamaican was a drug dealer. There was no way around it, you know? Right. So if they saw any dark-skinned guy with an accent, they knew he was a drug dealer. So now I am going to school in Philly. These niggas think I'm a drug dealer. Right. They had no idea I was selling pepperoni, sausage, thick crust, right, pan pizza, right? But guess what? I let them niggas believe whatever the fuck they want to believe, right? Right. I said, as long as they think I'm some drug dealer, they don't know who I'm working for. Right. They're not gonna fuck with me. Right. So when that happened, then now all of a sudden people want to be my friend, and that's when I started cracking jokes on niggas. Like, what you got on? You know, now I got the good shit on. Now I'm curious to what the fuck you're wearing. Why you got the Bill Cosby sweater on? I'm gonna see you right now. Why you got your Easter hat on?
Yeah. Right. I actually picked this hat because I saw you in a couple of different interviews, and you was all swabbed out with the robe on, and I say, I gotta come and throw the pail on and the hat, you know, Yeah, I say, man, how you gonna talk with the rainbow shirt on? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? How you gonna talk with the rainbow shirt on? Hey, no, you couldn't decide what your lady color was gonna wear. No, you couldn't decide what your lady's color was gonna be, so you just pick that shirt. You know what I'm saying? So that way, all of it match. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter what she picked now. You know, that's what that was. So how did that lead to the comedy clubs at that?
This is how I led to the comedy club. So then I started cracking jokes. This is like 11th, 12th grade. You know, I started like being funny a little bit, roasting people back. I mean, I heard so many good roasts in Jersey that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna steal them niggas roast and come ahead and light them niggas in Philly with it, right? So I'm lighting niggas up here and there. Finally, I graduated high school. I had to keep working at Domino's because I had to help mom pay bills. I went to go into service, but at that time, I just had the only paper I had in America was legal papers to work, not a green card. You cannot go in the army unless you had a green card. Right. I didn't have the green card at that time. I just had like employment authorization. Right. So I couldn't go in the army because I'm like, army is like I make money, I would, you know, and I would have a place to stay and like would help my mom and all, but army was a scratch. So I had to keep working at Domino's Pizza. I ended up just, you know, learning about the pizza business, learning how to make it. And I ended up being a fucking manager of the fucking place, right? At this time, I'm probably like 19. I'm like 20 years old, something like that. 20. I was about 20 at this time. Still working at Domino's, managing the stores. I remember I hired this one guy one time. He just wanted to be a delivery person part-time just to make like extra cash money every day. And he was an acting teacher at the Philadelphia Community College. You know, he just did delivery just to make extra money. And he just thought I was funny. He said, Mike, you funny. He said, let me help you write your first 5 minutes of stand-up. Let me help you with that. Kevin London was his name. So I was like, all right. So he helped me like put my jokes in like in a little story form. You know what I'm saying? Like put my shit together the proper way. And then he's like, go to open mics. I'm going to open mic night in Philly. It was on Wednesday nights. And I started going. I'm on my first night on stage. And back then, it's like the newer you are on open mic, either the later you go on. Like pretty much the club managers, they would line you up according to how popular you are at their club. So me being new, like they only accept the first 20 comedians for open mic. So a nigga like me, I'd be like number 19 or 20 because we don't know who this nigga is. So by the time I get on stage, most of the crowd already left. There's only like comedians there. You know what I mean? Maybe like on your friends, whoever you invited. So I remember my first night, I went on there. I think my stage presence and my delivery was good enough to be like, you know what, this is for me. Okay. And then I started going every open mic. And another comedy club had another open mic on Monday night. So I was going Monday nights and Wednesday night. Monday night, Wednesday night, just perfecting my act. I turned and I perfect their first 5 minutes. After they perfect like a 10 minutes, you know, and then perfect a 15 minutes. After you got 15 minutes, you can pretty much go and make you a little $100 a show here and there. You know, and that 15 minutes it usually take a good year to come up with it. I think I got mine in 6 months. I think within 6 months of doing this, I was making like $50, $75. I was getting paid.
Okay. So you that caused you to leave Domino's?
Wow, actually, so with Domino's, I actually got fired from Domino's. And how I got fired was, I'm not sure what year it was, but I remember going to New York. I was a manager of my store. I remember going to New York to do a show called the Uptown Comedy Club. It came on like UPN. It had like flags. I think Tracy Morgan did some episodes. It was a show from like early 90s or late 90s, mid 90s, like British. 94, something like that. And I'm going to do this show, and I had my assistant manager show up to work. So there was nobody there to run the store. And it's of all days of the year, the corporate office of Domino's, they usually do like a pop-up stop at stores without you knowing. These niggas having to pop up when there's nobody there to run the store. Right. So then I got fired. Because then it was, I got fired, lost my job. And then I was like, okay, now I got to put more effort into comedy. But in the meantime, I still had to find me some 9 to 5. I had to find me some job, temporary job here and there. I started doing little things here and there. But I just kept going hard at comedy.
Okay, that's what's up. So another good thing, bad thing for you.
Definitely, man.
Yeah. That's awesome. How long have you been doing it? How many years have you been doing it?
Man, like I said, I think it started like 93-ish, you know, yeah, because I was 20. So it's 93 when it started. So 27 years, man. The thing about it, I look like muff like, damn, nigga, you look 27. I'm like, you know, black on crack. And I've never been high a day in my life. Don't do drugs. Don't really get drunk. I only drink on like social gathering. And, you know, I'm like, hey, it's too much life to live. And I'm going to, you know, the thing about it was just never my thing. I don't understand. I never cared about nothing that would change your mindset. And that's why I always thought the drug would make you think differently. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like what I need that for. You know, so I just try to keep my youth because my audience right now, my audience are from age 8 years old. It's 8-year-old kids that go crazy when they see me. And that's from like me doing shit like Wildin' Out. And, you know, just Wildin' Out is what brought me the kids. Right. And then, mind you, so I got audience from 8 to like all the way to 60 because, mind you, I started this shit in 93. So in 93, niggas that was 40 years old are now 60-something years old. Right. You know what I'm saying? So now I got a big ass audience, man. I got a real huge audience, and that's why I'm eating till today because my fan base starts from 8 to fucking 80. Like Big Daddy Kane, 8 to 80, dumb, cripple, and crazy, motherfucker.
We heard that you was coming to America. You was a part of that, and I want to know: is that true? And is it coming out soon, or what's the date? What's the
Dude, man, it was such a, you know what? Shout out to Eddie Murphy, Cindy Hall, all those guys, the director, even Akon. I think Akon started the buzz on me getting in that movie, because what happened was maybe 3 months prior to the movie being shot, I think TMZ ran into Akon and said, "Hey, Akon, Eddie Murphy's doing a new Come to America. How you feel about it?" Akon's like, "I think it's a great idea. He just need to get more Africans in this movie." And TMZ ran into Eddie Murphy. You can Google this up. Just look up Michael Blackson, Eddie Murphy. Google that up, and you see the whole thing that happened.
Say it one more time, okay? Say it one more time because we got interference on our side.
No problem. I got you. Okay. So what happened was, you know, I'm gonna give a big shout out to, you know, Akon. Eddie Murphy or Cindy Hall, the director of this movie, the writers, and of course I gotta give a shout out to my boy Akon. I think Akon started the buzz on getting me in this movie. Okay. You know, so what happened was TMZ ran into Akon somewhere in LA and said, "Hey, Akon, Eddie Murphy's doing another Come to America. You've been an African. How do you feel about it?" And Akon said, "I love the idea. I just think he should get more Africans in this movie," right? And then TMZ runs into Eddie Murphy and said, "Hey, Eddie, we heard you don't Come to America. Akon think you should get more Africans in this movie." And out of Eddie Murphy's mouth, Eddie Murphy's like, "Well, I know one funny African, Michael Blackson," right? You guys can Google that. It's on the internet. When he said that, and then TMZ contacted me, and then they did an interview, and then when I saw that Eddie mentioned my name, I was like, you know what? That is my casting call to get in this movie. Right. So I told my agent, I said, "Listen, Eddie just mentioned my name. Take this fucking TMZ post, send it to the casting agent for this movie, and let them know that Eddie want me in this movie." You know, and I'm not being on set because it all happened just like that. And I'm not being on set, and I mean, my scene is like, not, you know, the thing about this movie is about the original cast. It's not about, you know, there's a lot of new people in this movie that, you know, and these guys were able to put this story together, how to mix up the new with the old. Right. The writing is brilliant. You guys are going to love this movie. So, you know, and my scene, I mean, this movie, I have like one big scene, you know, one scene that is like, I take over the whole movie, right? And I'm on that. Eddie Murphy is like, you know, when this scene was written, they said, "Mike, we had a scene written for you from day one. This was your scene." That's awesome. Yeah, I don't have to star in the movie. Like, I mean, what's my big break? My big break was the movie Next Friday. Next Friday, I had one scene, walked in the record store, and did the funniest shit ever. And that right there made me eat for 20 years. And as a comedian, you don't have to star in a movie. Just give me one scene in a movie that everybody's going to watch, and that would be enough for me to eat again for another 20 years. And Eddie gave me that scene, so shout out to him. The movie originally supposed to came out December 18th, but it got pushed to March the 5th. And you guys know that it's got sold to Amazon.
Okay, right. You know,
I
knew that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, due to the pandemic, which as 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 an actor or quote unquote movie star. I mean, that's not our dream. Our dream is to a big premiere movie theater. Right. Everybody's sitting there watching you. So I wasn't too happy with it, but of course I'm like, you know what? More people are gonna watch this movie. That's all that means. Because if it's home, at the end of the day, people would rather sit home anyway.
Right.
More people gonna watch it. More people get to see me. It's gonna make me bigger and better. And they moved it to March, which is good because I'm hoping because they moved it to March, maybe they could do like a week premiere where by then hopefully this pandemic has calmed down. And we could maybe have like a premiere in the theater and then it goes to Amazon after that, So whatever happens, at the end of the day, it's going to be bigger than I'm thinking because I was like, Amazon, I'm like, I don't be no fucking Amazon. But hey, everybody in this world is going to watch this movie. It makes it a lot easier for people to watch.
Do you have some other goals coming for, what's your plans for the future?
My plans is definitely to produce my own flick. I have my own ideas. I have my funny ideas. You go back and think about like the Wayans brothers, how those guys always think and wrote their own shit. I got that mentality. I just got to put it on paper. I got so many funny movie ideas. I got funny scripts, and I just needed something big that would make the industry believe in me. Even though we're in an era where you don't really need an industry anymore.
Yeah, I heard you say that one time. I heard you say that because you were saying make your own stuff and then take it to
your own and take it to Netflix. Try to find a media. Now we have Amazon. So many ways. We don't need Hollywood anymore like back in the day where you just hoping that ABC would call you and give you a show or CBS. Nowadays, man, you could make yourself a star. You just got to put in work and have a talent. You have talent. You put in work, you could get it to the next level. You don't need them.
Did you have a mentor? You mentioned some of the greats, but did you have a mentor? Do you mentor anybody?
Never did. I definitely. And the thing about it, this industry is all about who you know. The only thing I could say, don't get it wrong. I auditioned for next Friday. I got the part. It wasn't like, hey, Mike, nothing was given to me. The only thing that was probably given to me was, even wasn't given because I've earned it. Coming to America, I earned that part that I did. Right. I've been putting in work for over 20 years. I'm the one probably top funniest nigga right now, whether it's online or on stand-up, whatever. I'm top 5 funniest motherfucker right now. So I earned that part. And Eddie been watching me. They know what's going on, and that's why I got that. So nothing was really, I never had a mentor. I never had that management company. A lot of my guys that are on the next level got this big time management behind them. Yeah. And don't get it wrong. Sometimes, you need that Jewish representation to make that phone call because they own everything.
Right.
If you want to take it to that next level, you might have to just, get that connection. But I went to build my name big enough that if I had my people call them, they'd be like, okay, we know Michael Blackson, bring this shit in. And that's what I did. I pretty much made a name for myself. I put in the work, and now it's time to reap what I sow.
Do you mentor any of the young comedians?
Definitely, man. I've took a lot of them under my wings. I've took them on the road. I've done a lot of independent movies, even, and I put every comedian in it I can think of. One of my first things that I did was a movie I did with Master P called Repo. I don't know if you guys ever saw that.
I saw
So Repo was like, I did that movie Repo, and I called up all my comedic homies, put them in that movie, including agent, what's her name, Leslie Jones, right. That ended up in Saturday Night Live. I put Leslie in 2 movies. I put her in Repo, Master P, and I put her in another independent movie that I did on my own called Coney Montana. So Coney Montana, I did that movie just pretty much to have something to sell when I'm on the road. Because you're on the road, people want to take a piece of you home with them. So I shot this movie with my own money, made like DVDs, and go on the road and sell them out. Sell them to the audience. Come out, take a picture of me, pay for the movie, get a free picture. Kind of like how I did it. So every weekend I would sell like 100 of them. And I'm like, people watching and pass it on to their friends and pass it on to their friends. And I got her in that movie, got a bunch of other comedians in that movie. So I'm the type, I have this casting mentality, like, when I'm writing something, I already thought in mind who would be good for this part. That's how I know I can put shit together. Because I already know I can cast a movie for myself. Whether as an actor or a comedian, I would know who should play this. And that's all gifts from God, man. That's, I think at the end of the day, as an artist, it's a lot easier when God has given you this gift.
That's what's up. Oh, that's awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing some of that stuff you got stored up there.
Yeah,
So,
it's coming.
okay. Um, we're not gonna keep you much longer, but I wanted to ask you. You have a serious side. I read where you started a school in Ghana. Is that true?
Yeah, it's all. Like I told you, when I came to America, it took me 15 years to go back, right? And I went back. 15 years later. I went back to the village, and I'm looking, and I'm like, things are just the same way it was years ago when I was in this particular village. I'm like, God, nothing has changed. And I remember, going to the marketplace just to buy stuff, where people out there just selling things. And I see kids out there, like 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old, 9-year-old kids out there with their parents selling food and selling this. I'm like, why are the kids here? This is school hours. Why are they not in school? Then I found out that, mostly in Africa, there's government schools. Government schools are pretty much like public schools. And because the government schools are free, they fill up really fast, and when it fills up, the only thing that's left to go to is private school, and that costs money. So now if you don't get into the government schools early enough, you can afford private school. You out there selling food with your mom and sisters. So then I went to one of the local private schools and just try to get an idea of what does it cost to go to school here. And then this is like early 2000 when I did this, and I realized it was like $80 a year for a kid. I'm like, $80? I spent that shit with like fucking 4 drinks at the bar. Yeah. So then I'm like, so I remember, going, and I'm like, I went to the marketplace the next day, and I'm talking to parents. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pay for your kid to go to school for this whole year. So I did like 5 kids, right? Got them into school, and I'm like, and I came home and I started thinking, I'm like, God, I got to build a school. Yeah. I got to get these kids out of this marketplace. Education is the key. How are they gonna know how to protect themselves from HIV and everything else if they're not being educated on that? How are they gonna know how to avoid pandemics? How are they gonna know how to, get themselves a better life if this is all they're gonna do the rest of their life? And that's what made me go to school. My concern always been the kids because they're the innocent one. It's all about teaching them and bringing them up. And I'm like, let me start building schools. So when I was finally able to afford to do that, I was like, let's get it done. So my first one has been built in my year.
Hey, Michael, it's doing the interference.
So I started building, and I'm hoping, it'll be ready.
Hey, Michael, our connection messed up. You said about your mom's, at the part where you were talking about your mom building a school at your mom's village.
Yeah. So, and the thing about it, originally I thought building a school would be so difficult. Because I'm like, God, I got to build a school. Then I got to buy teachers. And I got to pay these teachers. I mean, forever. It's not a cheap task. At one point I was leaning towards like building a recreation center where kids could go and swim and learn about playing and play soccer and do whatever it is they enjoy doing. Give them something fun to do that I would pay for, But then my mom, that was, she wasn't one like, Mike, I think a school is better. I'm like, Mom, a school is a lot of work. It's this and that. And then I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? The best would have had the kid when I give them a place to play. Let me give them a place where they could learn. Right. They could learn and make this learning place could take them to the next level. It could probably even get them to make them study and go abroad and learn some stuff and bring it back and make their country better, just like I'm doing. Right. I left as a kid with nothing. We had zero. And I came to this country and made something out of myself. Now let me go give back. Let me go help the unfortunate ones. And so now we started, and fortunately for me, my mother had a low land. I'm like, okay, now I don't have to go looking for the land to build a school. So we decided to build a school on this land. And then I found out what teachers make. I'm like, and the average teacher in my country probably don't even make $200 a month. Don't get it wrong, $200 a month can take you a long way back home compared to what you could do with you in America. And being 200 meaning like this is top teacher here. I'm like, okay, $200 not bad. If I'm going to build like a primary school or secondary, primary I think is the elementary.
It is.
First grade to 6th grade. If every kid stayed in the same class, and every teacher taught every subject. Usually that's how it is. Every teacher teaches every subject.
Right.
So with them 6 teachers, if I want to go up to maybe take it to like junior high and do like 8th grade, which is equivalent to like 8th or 9th grade, you know, I could say, okay, that's 9 teachers. 9 teachers, $200 a month. You know, pay a principal, pay this, pay that, pay this. I'm like, you know, after spending $200,000 to build the school, it's gonna cost me maybe $5,000 a month to run the whole school. I'm like, okay, let me build this school, because once I start talking about building a school, everybody want to help. They're like, you know, Mike, what can we do? What can we do? I said, listen, I appreciate all the help, but I got to do this on my own. I got to build the school on my own, you know, and then after that, y'all can help pay for the teachers every month, you know. So that was the plan. Everybody. So once I'm done building and I'm unblocking, let's have a GoFund. We'll make sure teachers and principals and everything is being paid every month to keep this going for the rest of his life. And then we'll go build another one and build another one. You know, let me do the best. I can't save a whole country, but I'll do the best I could do.
Right. My brother and I had a video that you shared a couple of years back with Dr. Umar Johnson. Actually, the video talked about, do you remember that video? Well, it talked about wealth building and giving back. Some of those principles that you just got through talking about are listed in that video. But anyway, it was a big deal to us because some people sent it to us that you had forwarded. You sent a forward on your social media page, and of course a lot of people liked it, and it was just a big deal to us because like we didn't forward it, you did, and it helped us to go viral. It was one of our videos that went viral.
Real.
Yeah.
What did you guys have with the video? Y'all was on it?
Yeah, we were doing an interview with Dr. Umar Johnson.
Right. Oh, wow. Yeah. You have to send me that. Send me that video when we're done.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll send it to you. But I wanted to ask you something about your mom, and this for me is a difficult question to ask, right? Because everybody, just because your mom believes a certain way, doesn't mean you have to. But you reference your mom a lot, and you give her a lot of credit. And so I was curious, do you share some of her spiritual beliefs? Because I just hear you. The only reason why I ask this is because how much credit you give her. You know, you said you.
Oh yeah. I mean, the thing about it, you know, I think what she put in me was the fear of God. You know, my mother, she put God in me, and once you know, the Bible says, "Teach a kid the way he'll go, and he'll never depart." Regardless of how wild I am, you know, what kind of fun I put up, I never forget where I came from, and I always put God first. And I think that's one thing she gave me that got me to where I am today, which was she put God in me. You know, a lot of time kids grow up and their parents don't, you know, every household is different. My mom gave me God and discipline. And I think discipline and God, fearing God, is what got me where I am today.
That's what's up. You can tell that in some of what you've said today, and of course in some of your actions. It's evident. If you had to share something with we're kind of getting close to the end. If you had to share something like something you're doing, information you want to get out, next project, book, whatever, what would you share?
Yeah. So, well, of course, Coming to America. Shout out to that. I'm watching all these comedians and all their specials, and I'm like, God, I've been depriving America for a long time. They are missing out on probably, especially during this pandemic, where I think the stuff I wrote is probably the most brilliant stuff ever. You know, especially during the pandemic, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna finally go ahead and try to shoot something and give it to and let America see. So this weekend actually, I'm gonna shoot a little snippet of what I want to sell to Netflix and have my people take it to Netflix. I want to work on a special very soon, probably in the next couple of months. Okay. And then did a show with VH1 with my girlfriend. It's called Couples Retreat. It also comes out in March. This is like, and I think they brought me on the show more for comic relief. Right. But I think they love me and my lady so much that I'm almost certain they're gonna offer me a show from it.
It's a Georgia.
You know, reality world is not my thing. My thing is like.
Oh, he has his girlfriend Georgia Rain.
Nah, maybe 2 years behind. You know what's so funny? When VH1 hit me up, they thought that too. But it's like, hey, Mike, can you and Georgia Rain come on this show? I'm like, Georgia Rain was 2 years old, man. I got a whole new girl. I mean, shout out to Georgia. I mean, God, she was full of so beautiful, so smart, so talented. You know, just things didn't work out. You know, just sometimes God just want you to. I can't blame it on God. Maybe we just sometimes there's something out there for you. You don't know, never know. You know,
Right.
you know, we still good friends. She hit me up out of nowhere. You know, once in a while. You know what I'm saying? But I whole new relationship. But yeah, so show on VH1 called Couple. You coming up in March? Of course, coming to America. I'm hoping by March I can put a special out for you guys. And then, of course, I'm back on tour in the country. So just follow my Instagram at Michael Blackson. And that's and I'll post. So I'll see you in my next show, motherfuckers.
And that's how they can book you as well? That's how you can be booked as well?
Booking me, my information is on my Instagram. Yeah, it should be on there. It should be like an email on my Instagram where you can book me.
Okay. All right. Well, Michael, we really appreciate it.
All right.
We really appreciate it, man. Yes, sir. All right, man. Thank you.
All right.
All right. And
Yeah, no problem. See you guys when I come up there.
All right, and get your son his shirt back.
Hi, I'm Alden. And I'm Calden. Thanks for following us. You can find us on Facebook at Good Twin Bad Twin Unleashed, and also on Instagram at Good Twin Bad Twin Unleashed. Now don't forget to watch our YouTube page and make sure you like and share our videos. Also go to our Facebook page, check out our t-shirt line. We have several wonderful t-shirts there that helps us to continue to provide good footage for you. Thank you.